So you have a very, very strong graphic design background,
Hmm.
and then you moved into L&D, into instructional design. How did that happen?
Well, I went to school for graphic design and photography. Did the double major thing, and I kind of cut my teeth in the advertising world and marketing kind of world. And while I was doing that, I spent some time in DC in working in an internal communications department. So I got to see both like the advertising side of things and then sort of that internal corporate side of things. And then eventually, I would kind of work my way up to the point where, you kind of hit the glass ceiling where it's either become a creative director or go out on your own. And so that's what I did. I started freelancing. It was about 15 years ago. I was still in the graphic design space. But I found that my niche was really working for corporate communications departments. And so the bulk of my clientele were HR professionals and in that sort of line of work. And that started to transition into folks who were in the L&D space as well, where they would need graphic design to support those things. And so I started along that path and helping those folks out. And then it wasn't until it was probably about 2012. Oh my gosh, it seems like yesterday. But I hooked up with a woman who is a corporate trainer, and she is really good at the facilitation side of things. And it's someone who I had worked with back in my agency days as well. So I had a good relationship with her already. And she was looking for someone to help bring some online training products to her clients. She was getting a lot of requests at that time to think we need more videos and that sort of thing. So I started helping her out with the development side of things. And it was also around that same time where I got the opportunity to teach graphic design at the Cleveland Institute of Art. And so that was like another networking thing. It was someone else that I worked with in my agency days who was adjunct there, who brought me on board. And sort of between those two, it was really kind of, building more and more into the L&D space. And I finally got to the point where I was working on the, development side of things, and I'm getting these scripts and things that are kind of coming my way. And I'm noticing like, I think these could really be better. I really think we can improve upon these.
Wow.
But you don't know what you don't know, right? And so that's when I really started trying to educate myself on some things. And I finally during COVID, I had the time to go back to grad school and get the, instructional design certification, which to me was worth its weight in gold, because that's when it pointed out all the things like again, you don't know what you don't know. And it sort of opened up a lot more for me to be able to help out my clients. So I still do the bulk of my work is still development work. And I do more of the, helping out when scripts come along or at the very beginning of projects when they're like, this is kind of what we want to do. And I'll put on my, ID hat for that sort of thing. And then I still also help out though. I haven't lost sight of the graphic design stuff too. I still teach it. I still enjoy doing project, branding, like if there's new projects that are rolling out that are new products or services within that internal communications or L&D space, I'll work on branding projects for that sort of thing.
Wow.
And of course there's always, job aids and pop-up banner display, all that kind of stuff, newsletters and like all that kind of stuff that needs to go with it. So I enjoy like looking at projects sort of holistically and then making sure everything ties together well.
Well, that's a potent combo, having that graphic design background and also being an instructional designer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the disciplines themselves, they have some similarities, right? You must be able to go back and things that you have learned, systems and processes as a graphic designer, been able to sort of take that into your instructional design system as well. And I think that's really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So
from marketing as well too, I think that
right.
Having a marketing lens and when you're looking at ID stuff, I think is helpful as well.
Yeah, totally. So wait, you started out as a freelance graphic designer and then you went into freelance ID.
Basically, yeah. That was the transition that happened. So
wow, that's amazing. There must be just such a wealth of knowledge that you were able to fall back on as you move from graphic design into instructional design, because just even learning how to be a freelancer altogether as an instructional designer can be can be a huge challenge. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
and this might not be that relevant, but it was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. But is there anything now as an instructional designer that you sort of wish you had known when you started out your career? Anything, if you can go back to yourself, like say even 5 years ago, and say, here's some advice, do it this way.
Oh, I don't know. I think there's always something that I can be improving upon. I'm still working on my own business systems and trying to improve those so I can streamline things. So I'm not the one who's working until 2 o'clock in the morning trying to hit a deadline sort of thing. So I'm still working on some of that sort of stuff. But as far as the instructional design stuff, I wish I would have got my certification earlier. I just think that would have helped. But again, just timing. I think things come to you when they need to come to you. So
Right,
that
right.
worked out well.
No, that's great. So how about your graphic design background? How does it influence your work now as a learning experience designer?
Well, to me, one of the things I'm kind of really passionate about is merging the two together.
Yeah.
So everybody, we use the term graphic design, and that's what I use in my LinkedIn profile and all that sort of thing. But personally, I really like to think of it more as visual communication. Like I think that's what they used to call the major, like back in the day, in like the
Huh?
80s and that your visual communication. And to me, that makes a lot more sense to me because that's what you're trying to do. And so being able to tell whatever the story is that you're trying to tell visually is so important, and to be able to do it effectively and to be able to do it without overriding cognitive load and doing all like making sure you're hitting all those points that your learners will be able to get what you're trying to say quickly and efficiently, I think is really important.
Mhm, mhm.
And so this past year I've been trying to take on doing more talks and things like that to kind of help folks out. That it seems to me there's a lot of folks who are coming into the field that I've been interacting with, because I have been trying to learn, new ID skills myself. So different classes I'm taking and groups I'm involved with and that. It seems like there's not a lot of graphic design skills that are being taught, and so people I feel like they just need that like little extra punch of their work to kind of help them understand why it's so important that keep things simpler, or you make sure you have consistency, or you're using proper alignment, or you're grouping things properly. And because it's not just to make it look pretty, it's to make it more effective. And so I don't know, that's one of those things I really enjoy, talking about, and I could go on for hours.
Right. No, it seems like you would have like absolutely a superior sort of perspective on that, just having the background you do, because I don't know, in a lot of the conversations that we have here, I do hear from folks, they're as instructional designers, that is often one of their most challenging, one of the most challenging parts of their job is sort of the visual communication or the graphic design that they're having to take on. They just don't feel like they have those skills and are just trying to build those out. But you already have that going. So tell me something. When you're talking about development, like what exactly do you mean by that when it comes to the work that you do?
Well, to me, I feel like development is really just that building of the end product, whatever that. For me, it's mostly like the online trainings that I'll be doing, or maybe it's a slide deck for instructor-led training or something like that, or a learner booklet that goes home with them, or anything like that. So me, it's like sort of like putting pen to paper, quote unquote, to get things done. That's what I feel is the development. I'm looking at that Addy model. Is that right? Too?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Does your background in graphic design ever come, or does it ever end up like sort of at odds with the things that you want to do as a learning experience designer? Do you ever like have conflicts between both?
I don't know necessarily that there's conflicts, other than sometimes I'll want to do things that are like, I know it's going to take me way longer than maybe what I've put in my estimate because I have this great idea. So those sorts of things can come up. So I'll have to figure out how to do it, how to do it within the budget that I've set up for myself. So that sort of thing will come up. But yeah, I don't see any other like super conflicts. I mean, I feel like the two work together very well. So it's not,
Right.
it's not like a binary. It's not like you get one or the other. It's like they need to work together
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm sort of trying to relate it to the question that I have where how do you balance the need for engaging design with effective learning outcomes?
Yeah, to me, I don't see it as a balancing one with the other. I feel like it's something that they need to come together and work towards the same goal.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't see those as two opposite sides of a spectrum.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fascinating because it just seems like having the skills that you do, you're just going to be able to utilize that. I mean, yeah, because they're almost like yeah, having two separate things and then trying to combine them in that way. I can see there may be some challenges, but more often than not, they're probably just can really complement each other.
Mhm.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I do have this question about these awards that you won. You
Mhm.
have what is it? The Silver Tower Award from the Cleveland Business Marketing Association for greeting card design, and the Crystal Award of Distinction from the Communicator Awards. So I just pulled these out of your LinkedIn
Yeah,
profile.
that's all right. Yeah. They
Award
sound
winning,
but
award winning for the newsletter design.
yeah.
What are those? Does those recognitions mean to you? Do they influence your work at all? I know they're kind of older.
Yeah, they're a little older. I'll be honest. Like my take on a lot of these awards, I think they're great for corporations who have the time and the money to invest in that sort of thing. But for myself as a freelancer, as long as I'm having repeat customers, like that's all the award that I need. If I have people who are coming back to me over and over and over again, which let's face it, pretty much all my customers do. Like that's all I really. That's what I need. So I don't know that the accolades, like
Right.
they don't influence me in any huge way. So
Do you ever go after any that like say the Demo Fest awards or anything that
no, I
any
may do something like that, like because those are kind of fun. So
yeah,
I haven't yet, but
yet.
that's a yet. Like that might be something I would be more into because I don't know. For me, that I love being able to demonstrate things, what you're doing, and be able to talk to the people rather than just like, here, let me fill out this form and send my money in and ship it off to this team, and not really being able to interact with people to get the feedback on.
Right, right. No, it's a lot of fun doing that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think a huge part of that entire process is that you get to tell that story and talk to people as they come by and check out your project
Yeah.
and that experience just alone is worth getting in there. And if you're going to the conference, I mean, basically, I think they just let you just have to sign up and
Mhm.
everybody who signs up
Yeah.
can participate. So
Yeah.
you
My
never know.
biggest my biggest problem is always like most of the work I do is confidential, so I can't really show it because it's
Uh,
for other clients. So I'd have to do like a personal project and has time. So
right, right. No, I hear you. I hear you.
so it has to be something I really want to do, I really want to try, and I really want to put out there to do a demo of it, something like that. But
So let's talk about some of your storytelling skills. How do you incorporate storytelling into your work? And why do you think that it's even important in learning experience design?
oh yeah, I love trying to incorporate storytelling as much as I can. It depends on what I'm working on. It's actually been something I've been able to push some of my clients who have been sort of dragging their feet. Feet where they're like, we just want to tell about the product and that's it, and that's all that matters,
Mm,
and trying to put it, and it's like, okay, so I've been having good luck doing more scenario based trainings and more things that have at least a little of a game or some sort of something in the background with that. So I enjoy adding that sort of element to the training. And then again, with the visual storytelling, again, that I think that just goes hand in hand because it helps set the tone, for, the visual tone for things, whether,
mhm.
if it's, I saw something that Tracy Carroll had posted on eLearning Heroes where it had a very like film noir kind of, and it sets a very much a tone to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
And it
that
seems
usually.
like yeah, those opportunities for creativity is probably something that really appeals to you. I mean, do you have any examples of some storytelling that you may have created that you can share?
Oh, well, I had one recently. It was silly and it was campy, but it was kind of what was needed. Where there were the client that I was working for, they were introducing a new product that had a very specialized base to it that had all sorts of fancy bells and whistles to it. And so we did a training that was the basic training, and it was it had this very much sort of this army kind of theme to it. And it had like these recruits that were going through, like they were the recruits going through the training for the basic training and stuff. And it was just very cute. It was very campy, but it was a big hit. It was very different from a lot of the other kind of, product training that we've done before. So
right.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you have a little more fun with something like that than the typical one. Is there anybody in the industry that you follow that is kind of like on the storytelling side of things that you might get some inspiration from?
Yeah, well, I definitely like following Chrissy Tucker with all the scenario stuff that she does for sure. That's fun for me to learn from, and I've learned a lot from her too on how to do branching
Right.
and stuff like that as well too.
Right.
Oh, and I wish I have, on the tip of my tongue, I'm one of those people who's terrible with names. There was a session that I went to at the Learning Solutions Conference, and they were talking about doing storytelling from using the comedic arc and not as in comedy, but as like a way to resolve different storytelling plot lines for your online training or for your narratives. And it was very interesting because it gave very like specific points as to like, here's what you need to do to start things. Here's where the conflict is. Here's where, you could see like how rom-coms follow it, how sitcoms follow it, and how you can make your actual, a scenario or something that you're doing follow that same comedic arc. And so I have yet to be able to use that yet, but I'm
that sounds really interesting. That was at this last Learning Solutions?
Yeah, it was the last one in April in Orlando. I can't remember who the person was.
Don't remember the speaker.
Yeah.
Was it Rance Green by chance? No.
It might have been. You could probably say the name and I'd be like, I don't remember. So
yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to look
Sorry,
it up. I'd like to learn that. I'd like to learn that.
All right.
So what do you think about the intersection of design and L&D evolving as going forward? Is there anything that you see, any trends that you see between design and L&D that's going to continue to sort of shape the space?
Yeah, well, I think there's been, this has been a couple of years already, people talking about, the learning experience design versus, instructional design. In my mind, the learning experience design is that sort of intersection of interface design and user experience design, along with, the instructional design of the development of all that. So I think that's always going to continue to be the case. But however, of course, the influx of AI, I think, is really interesting in terms of graphics and how that can help things out. There's Photoshop just rolled out a beta of different ways you can do interesting content fills and stuff. I'm really curious about some of the legality issues that go along the ride with that as well. Who owns the rights? Can you use it? Especially as a freelancer, when you're saying like, part of my contract is that you now own the rights to all of this work, but do you really, because I used something to create it? And so it gets really murky. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing to kind of follow and see how some of that ends up shaking out.
Yeah. Are you playing with any of the AI tools, graphic design tools?
Not so much with the design, more with the writing, because that's kind of where I need, I think the design stuff, I tend to, I can come up with things pretty quickly because I've been doing it for forever. I will use more like the Chat GPT to kind of help me with like, I need some headline ideas and that kind of thing. I've been more like noodling around, having fun playing with some of the ones that make the videos and that kind of stuff, but nothing that I've used in any of my courses at this point. So because part of it is I am concerned about some of the legal ramifications of using some of it. So
definitely. Yeah. I've played around a little bit with the image stuff, and it's fun. I mean, you could actually go to like Google Bard has really pushed out something that is simple to use and has come up with prompts that I've used have come up with some pretty decent stuff. But it's true. It's like, is it okay to use this? It might be in the style of somebody that you don't even realize, and you're like, I don't want to copy something that isn't rightfully mine. So yeah, I kind of stay away from the image stuff as well. Chat GPT though, that has been really a huge help with some of the stuff that I do. It's kind of ridiculous. All right. So what keeps you inspired? Is there anything or anyone that keeps you inspired doing the L&D work you do?
No, I'm always one of those, shocking that I'm in L&D and that I love to like learn new stuff, right? I'm sure
Yeah,
that's like a common theme you hear from everyone. So I am definitely one of those people who I always have the backlog of different classes that I'm interested and want to do and try, like there's always new things that I'm trying to figure out and learn about. So I think I'm very self-motivated in that way.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and also just being a freelancer and working from home, and like I've been doing this for 15 years now. What keeps me motivated is getting out and meeting people and seeing people in person and doing things. That's why I signed up for something like this. Being able to talk to other people.
Absolutely.
I think that's huge. Like I even noticed some people that were in my local ATD chapter that had registered for the event. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a Valley folks.
um,
So
yeah,
yeah, that really does help. I think that really does help me keep me motivated and on the
nice.
ball.
Is there anything? Have you taken any courses or anything lately that might be of interest?
Oh, let's see. Well, I was um, doing some more like advanced storyline skills. I started my career in Captivate because I'm so used to all the Adobe products. I did most of my work in Captivate for years, and it's only been the past year or two that I've switched over to doing more in storyline. So I've been trying to just hone my storyline chops, and um, I'm finding it pretty easy because I think Captivate is more difficult when it comes to programming triggers and things like that. So I think
It's
the
more
the
difficult, you
knowledge
said?
transfer. I well, I personally like it better how you do
Hmm.
it in Captivate because you can do everything in one file, just key it all in one screen rather than have to program individual triggers on and do these drop down menus. You can just type it in and you're done.
Yeah.
So I like that better about Captivate. But then Captivate also has a ton of things out there that are just clunky that I'm not fond of either. Um, so that sort of thing. And I know I've got some JavaScript classes on the horizon that are sitting in Coursera that I paid for that I need to start. that I need to start that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
stuff, right?
So Coursera is your learning platform of choice?
I don't really have one of choice. It's just one that I found courses that I was interested in and
Yeah, yeah. I
so
do that thing where I collect courses, like I'll just buy like some cheap ones, but then I never take them. I just sort of let them sit in there like buying books.
yeah.
It's it's pretty funny.
I know. Well, yeah, I might do that too. I will say what course that I did last summer that I'll just as a shout out that I thought was very good. It was through Idle Academy, but they had a freelancers boot camp, which I thought was actually really I had already been a freelancer for years and years and years, but it was specifically for instructional designers. Um, that was like the amount of resources that they gave you, just the things to help and set things up a little differently.
Mhm.
Again, it was totally worth the investment for that as
Nice.
well. So,
And what other ways do you stay on top of your professional development?
oh my gosh. Well, when I'm teaching, actually, I was very excited. They finally this year rolled out a new department to help support some of the teachers there. Before it was kind of like ragtag. People did what they want, and they had a fund come in and set up an entire center and had someone in charge of it. And so through there's more things about. I can learn more about facilitating classes in person and things like that so it's a different than what I'm doing day to day, so
Mhm.
I enjoy that, and that helps with like the in-person sort of teaching.
Yeah,
But they have book clubs and lunch and learns and all that kind of good
nice.
stuff that you can do there as well, so
Cool.
that's something different I get to tap into during the school year, at least not the summer.
And you went to Learning Solutions, and since you're a
Mhm.
freelancer, that's out of pocket. Is
Mhm.
are conferences like a regular thing for you?
I try to when I can. It just depends on scheduling. It's the one thing is challenging is working it around teaching during the school year is
Mm,
being able to balance my schedule with that. So
totally.
yeah,
Wow.
but I
Okay.
do I do like to do, and I'll do the online conferences too when they come up.
Yes.
They're like
Yeah.
when you host
TLDC.
like that,
Yeah.
I'll
We
let
try
you
to do
know.
one. We do one
So
every month,
yeah,
at
yeah.
least. Yeah. So, last question, Jen. Your favorite one. Wait, did somebody? It looks like Brandon added. Oh, we have a couple more here. Let me actually let
Okay.
me let me get to these first. So, which ID certification program did you complete?
Oh, it was through Bowling Green University in Ohio here. So
Okay. Nice. Bowling
Yeah.
Green.
And
Angry.
actually, that was actually a really interesting experience. I'll let you know too. I really enjoyed the professors there, and they had it set up where you could do, the certification or continue on and get your full master's. Um, and I got to the point where I finished the certification, and I sat and I talked with my professors that I was working with, and was asking about, like, do you think I should continue on with the master's? And I was shocked by their honesty, where they had actually advised me not to continue on with the master's because the type of the classes that they needed for the, like, they understood the type of business that I had and where I was going with my business. So, like, I wouldn't waste the money on it. You're not going to get enough unless you really want that MED. And so I really love the honesty that they had.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
pretty amazing.
I don't often hear that. Seems like,
Yeah.
these academic institutions will take as much money as they can when they can.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, here we go from Brandon. This is a good one. What advice would you have for L&D professionals that want to create great training material but aren't artistically inclined?
Well, Brandon is part of my CV ADT chapter, so we can connect for one. So there are some great videos online. I know Devlin Peck does a lot of good videos about using certain graphic design elements, or more about, I should say more about, like, the basics of graphics design that you can use within L&D space. But I think you could also just get in there and really what you need to do is understand the basics of composition, alignment, proximity, repetition. There's really just some, like, really core basics that I think if you can get those mastered, that really, it helps open your eyes to assessing your own work, to be able to be like, okay, I need to fix this. I don't need to fix this. It's a skill that you can learn like anything else. It's not just, I feel like a lot of people think it's just like this woo-woo thing that's out there, and some people have it and some people don't. And it's like, no, it's a skill you can learn. You just need to train your eye to be able to see these things. So
True. It's true. Yeah, I know when I was in college, my first couple years, I did take one drawing class and then I took a graphic design class. And the skills I learned in there stuck with me. Like, I still use them to this day. Even just transferring that knowledge into, building something in Photoshop or Canva or whatever. You can just learn it in a class, and it really is helpful. And photography too, right? You can take photography classes and learn how to be.
Learn composition, and lighting is good to understand lighting. And
yeah. That's something that I need to do. My wife is a photographer, but I'm not. And I mean, her photos are amazing, and mine are just like these terrible blurry things of just, things you can't even understand what I'm trying to capture. So, if you weren't an L&D professional, you would be what? And let's just say, I don't know, budget wise, I know we talked about this in the green room. I can't say, just say where you are right now. Like
where I am right now. If I wasn't an L&D, honestly, I probably would. I'm very interested in psychology. So I think I would love, because I love, trying to figure out what's going on in people's brains and their motivations and all that kind of stuff. So I would probably be in that field. So I feel like I might be in that field a little bit in my personal life when I'm when I'm talking to people and things like that.
Right. That's interesting.
Right.
I have there are people that I regularly talk to that are therapists, and sometimes I just listen to their conversations and they just sound absolutely fascinating. I don't really I get intimidated about adding my own comments, because then I feel like they'll start cross-examining me. But it's it's really interesting listening to them talk and sort of that dialogue that goes on, because it seems very very honest and just together. So yeah, I have this, it's kind of the same fascination. All right, well, Jen, that's it. We're all done here. That was the last question. Thank you so much for participating in this. I'm gonna post your interview as a podcast, and also have it on the website so that people can learn more about you. And anything we need to know about Nektar Design, can you give it a pitch at all?
With Nektar Design, like I said, I focus mostly on the development side of things for the most part. I also offer creative services, like creative direction services. So if you're starting a program and you need templates done, or you need an eye to get that design rolling, I'm very comfortable with setting direction and then coming back in and helping oversee that as well. That's something I'll do for some of my clients as well. So kind of in a nutshell, what I do.
Nice. I went to your website. Very
Mhm.
nice. Very
Thank you.
nice. I'm like, hey, this is great. It's simple. It's clean. It was easy to navigate, and you told a good story. There you
All right.
go. You win.
There we go. There you go. All right. Woo!
All right, let me make sure here. Oh, here we go. One last thing from Kim. I always hear about the non-designer's design book as a good reference. Is it okay or outdated?
I'll be honest, that's one that I haven't read yet. I think just because I had the design background, it's one that I haven't gone into. So I'm sorry, I can't give you maybe some other folks can give you a yes or no.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check, Kim. I'm going to check that one out. I might have it where I work. We have access to all these free books. Maybe we have that, and I'll check it out because I would love to read something like that. All right. And with that, Jen, thanks so much again for your time. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And with that, let's see, we have one more broadcast tomorrow. And I don't know if everybody knows, but Mallory Steele is putting on an event through TLDC. I'm going to start promoting it. It's a big conference. I can't remember. It's called the Learning Exchange, and it's happening the third week of this month. Huge. I think she has something like 57 sessions over 3 days, but she's using the TLDC platform. I'll be sending out more information about that one. That's coming up soon. It's another free one.